But the one other thing I want to bring up is, Kelly, pull up VO12, is like they're going to need to go through some adversity to do this. All of the past winners had some adversity. So, I mean, look at Argentina. They lost their opening game against Saudi Arabia, and then they went on to win the whole thing. France tied against Denmark. Germany tied against Ghana. Spain, that's one of the best World Cup teams that's ever been assembled. And they lost 1-0 to Switzerland. So, I mean...
Well, and even look at last night, Germany lost to Ecuador. I mean, and that was something that
Exactly.
Mauricio Pochettino brought up in his post-game press conference. He's like, you guys are making a big deal out of us losing to Turkey when we already had the group wrapped up. Why don't you go ahead and look across whatever the country? Germany's over here losing to Ecuador. You're not talking about that.
And like in these other games, like some of them were in the opening game when they're playing all their players and they still lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is an element of there needs to be some adversity to overcome. And so I'm glad that happened in a game, like we've mentioned before, that has no consequence about you getting kicked out of the tournament versus if it happens in the knockout stage.
So walk us through. Bosnia and Herzegovina is the opponent for the round of 32.
Correct.
There are still some permutations here for the round of 16, but who are our likeliest if the U.S. is able to handle business against Bosnia, which it feels like they should.
They should.
What are we looking at beyond that?
So the other foursome, or the other game that would come into this is the winner of the Egypt, Belgium, and Iran group, because that group is very up in the air. So whoever wins gets second and third. It depends on what happens today. So, but the projections are right now is that Egypt, as it stands, Egypt is that team, and then South Korea is the other slot in that matchup as of right now. So you're looking at the winner of that game in this round of 16, which again, both of those teams are very beatable. And so, I mean, then you get into a quarterfinal where you're going to play either a Spain or a Portugal, and then that's where it starts ratcheting up.
Yeah.
But if you think about just how far the U.S. has gone in the modern World Cup era, like they've only made it to the round of 16 once during that time. So
yeah, and that was before they had the extra round.
Right.
So.
And so obviously it's one step at a time. They have to get past Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah.
Again, like statistically speaking, they should be able to do that. And even just making it to the round of 16 as the hosts, like that's a lot to be excited about in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And then we're talking about, okay, we're now in the round of 16 with two potential opponents that, again, you should on paper be able to beat. I mean, that's just
Egypt
there's
is
a
ranked
lot
26th, South Korea 31st, and the U.S. is up to 15 now in the world rankings based on what they've done so far.
and, and higher even based on like some of these outlets rankings, like the Athletic and ESPN's.
I mean, shoot.
Dan Hunt.
Dan Hunt said to us yesterday that he thinks that they're one of the top 5 teams in the tournament right now.
I think that might be a stretch.
I told that
There's
to
a little bit of
Tattoo.
homerism there.
Yeah.
But
I said that to Tattoo in the commercial break, and he looked at me like,
okay.
Top five.
If
I don't know about that.
If you get to the quarterfinals, you're among the top 8, and I think that's kind of with how they've played thus far. I think that's kind of where they slot right now, on the bottom end of like the top 8 best performing teams.
But we've seen in the World Cup, even as recently as 2022, teams outside of say the top 10 that
Can make a run.
Yeah, they can make a run.
Morocco wasn't supposed to make a run in this last World Cup, and they ended up going to the Final Four. So and then similarly, a couple World Cups ago, Croatia wasn't a team that anyone had their eye on, and they made it to the final.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely possible.
Yes.
But you've got to take it one game at a time.
Yeah.
Focus on Bosnia and Herzegovina, handle that one, get it out of the way. Focus on only them. Don't look forward, because I mean, you see it all the time in sports where you think overlook an opponent, think they're inferior, and then we're gonna worry about the next round. And that's when you get caught with a equalizer late in, and you go to penalties and end up losing.
But to go back to Kelly's point about peaking at the right time, it feels like they have the opportunity to do that in spades going now into the knockout stage because of the way the bracket lays out for them. You have the opportunity, like, forget peaking right now, peak 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And because you've got Bosnia in the first game, because you've got the likelihood of either Egypt or South Korea in the second game, games that you should be able to win if you're playing at peak form, and now you come in, hypothetically, if they're able to handle business in each of those games, now you've won 4 of your 5 matches in the World Cup and you're looking like you are in peak form and you're on home soil and you're going into a quarterfinal match where like, all right, now it's for real.
Yeah.
Now
And now
this
you're gonna
is
have to play
a
someone
real
really good.
challenge. But how
But then
good
you're
would
humming
these
at
guys
that
be
point.
feeling about themselves at that point?
And you have a coach who's been there and done that and is familiar with those top. When you think about the top teams in the world, we're talking about Spain and France right now, England, obviously. Like, those teams play the style of soccer that Mauricio Pochettino is all too familiar with. And he's the one leading the charge. And he's the one who's shown that he can adapt tactically to whatever style of play the opponent is presenting. And I think that should give the Americans, fans, and the U.S. men's national team alike confidence that they can stack up against some of these really good teams should they make it to that point in the tournament.